Welcome back to another episode, everybody. My name is Emery Wolf, and joining me is
Nick Lamb.
And we are just two camera guys. This is a show where we're going to talk about all things camera, except tonight, it's all things text.
Yeah, with one mic.
And one mic. Clearly, too, we're back at the Brand Center. This is just a good time for us always when we can get together. It's actually the time we get together because we're working. Actually, I won't be surprised if Lane comes in here.
He might.
Perfect. Anyways, yeah, Nick, text to edit.
Text to edit. Did you use text to edit yet?
I've used it like a little bit, but not a whole pile.
So I've got a project I'm working on right now. Basically, so I'm talking about the Adobe text to edit. And
how does that work first off?
Yeah.
Where do you actually use it?
The way that I've been using it is, you know how you go Windows in Adobe, and then you can scroll down and you can pick those different auto layouts.
Like Premiere.
Yeah. Did I say?
No, you just keep saying Adobe. Like it's one thing.
It's one thing.
They all
Kinda
just like everything's just in one product.
Yes, in Premiere. So you can hit the window and then it's got the text-based layer auto layout, or you can find your panel and bring it up wherever you want. And what you essentially do is you transcribe a track, or you can transcribe multiple tracks. And then as long as you click on that audio track, you just can literally copy, like, you know how you click on a text document, you click on it, drag your text, hit delete, and it just makes that edit right there. Now, the good part is you can edit a little bit quicker with it, but you need to know how to edit. Like, this is not solving all of your problems.
Does it automatically take out like some clicks and ums and haws?
You can set the difference. So that's a feature that I quite like. So you can set it so if there's silence for over a second, you can delete that silence. Or you can actually change that number. So you can change it to half a second. Change it to if there's silence for 3 seconds. And then it's just got these 3 little dots. Click on the dots, delete, can tighten it up, which is really cool. But you're still, it hasn't incorporated ums into it yet. So you can't just delete. So if you're going, that's tough luck at this point, because I don't even see the ums show up on the transcribe. So that's not going to fix our show.
I was just going to say, that's what we need for our show, just to fix all the...
Yeah, our show still has problems. But...
So you've been using it, and you like it?
So I can't tell if it's faster or not yet, because I'm quite used to just looking at the waveform, and I'll edit a lot based on waveform. But what it does, the part that I've enjoyed about it is I can read ahead a little bit on it and tell where somebody messed up.
Okay.
So I can tell if somebody's going to mess up on that particular take and then jump ahead to the good take and then delete the previous stuff. So it's going to, once I get used to it, I think it's actually going to be difficult to edit without it at a certain point.
Yeah, I think it's going to become the norm. In my experience with it too, it's been the same thing, like where I haven't really found it that useful yet. But, to edit a show like this or something where it is a long term and, you don't really care about the cuts that much. Mm-hmm. You just want like the cleanest audio take.
Yeah.
I think that's like where it really speeds up. But when you're doing more, we'll call it commercial work or whatever, you're getting a little more particular about things. Yeah. And I don't think it really speeds you up in that scenario. At least that's been my experience with it.
So if I was editing, right now I'm editing essentially 7 longer forms where it was a talking head, but we're wanting to take a large portion of that interview. So we're taking 7 minutes from each interview, so 7 times 7, so we're talking 35 minutes of maybe even 40 minutes of total content.
Yeah.
So this isn't a finely tuned 1-minute clip. This is going to be a longer form interview and letting it play and show that longer form stuff. So this is a little different application that I'm using for it, and I think it's a good application for that. Podcast would be even better though.
Yeah, right. Like, because like I said, we throw this onto YouTube, and like, what does it matter if people see like our jump cut where we are taking out our like brief moment of idiocy?
Yeah. If I could see it being useful for documentary,
mm-hmm.
if you were filming a lot of sit down, say you had 2 hours of footage and you're just wanting to find the part where they said whatever. Now, I don't know if you can search words and stuff on it yet. That's going to be, once that feature gets in there, that'll be quite nice.
Yeah. So you do see this as being sort of the future, the way it goes. I think you already
100%.
Yeah.
I will,
because it's only going to get better, right?
It's only going to get better. And once you can search words, which you might even already be able to, and I just don't know how. But it's cool, and it's come along a nice way. And I like it more than the Adobe one. So right here, we're recording to Adobe Podcast. And you can edit on the Adobe Podcaster one, but it's a little clunky because you click out the words, you delete them, they're gone. And then how do you bring them back? Whereas in Premiere, you can just extend the timeline out again. So you still need to know all your shortcut keys. Could you do a rough edit without knowing anything about editing? Yeah, but you still need to know your cut, your V to go back to your pointer and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So kind of the next text video thing I actually think we should probably talk about is the it's OpenAI Sora. Have you seen it?
So I've seen it, and I saw so I did get distracted halfway through that video and I didn't go back to it, to be honest. But tell me about that video, because it's pretty cool.
So actually probably the wilder part is if you go to Sora's website. I don't remember what it is offhand. I'm sure we'll bring it up. Are you editing this or am I editing it?
Whoever.
There we go. Lane, the man, the myth, the legend. So anyway, Sora, it's OpenAI system. If you go to their website, there's a bunch of video clips on that website showing what you can do, just writing in text like you would ChatGPT, and then, hitting export, and it'll make you, I think, like a 10 or 15 second clip of whatever your text to video is.
Have a good night.
See you, Lane.
Now, the part that I want to see is, is it actually going to work in a real world scenario to stop in predefined?
Honestly, the first time I seen it, I was like, whoa, this is good. So my day job, I work for a safety association. So there are tons of things that we just cannot do because it's unsafe.
Oh.
So if I need a B-roll clip of whatever it is for safety just to show it, I can type that in text and I've got my B-roll clip. I don't know how fast it actually creates it. I assume it's like fairly fast, maybe like 5 minutes or something, and you'll have this video, but it looks pretty realistic. There are some problems with it, but again, I think just like any other Adobe AI product, you just go in, you refine it, and you'll eventually get something that works for you. So yeah, like for myself and at work, like I'm pumped. Like I can see a lot of uses for it.
Now, I'd be getting a little scared if I was stock shooter.
Yeah.
Because that's crazy. Wouldn't be expecting that one to happen.
Yeah, right? Like, because it honestly, it could replace stock, right? If it's just easier and people could get like exactly what they wanted and be like, even to the point too, where you're like, no, change that guy's shirt to green. And then it's done. Like that would be epic, right?
Now, there's still a case for the talking head from a business or to get the actual person.
Yeah, you're not making a full video with it. Like this is like how you piecemeal things together. Do you know what? Maybe 10, 15, 20 years from now, you're making a whole video with it for something, but realistically, you're probably putting it together with other stuff.
Yeah. So you could see yourself using it. Actually, I'm trying to think of some scenarios, but I could probably see myself using it at a certain point.
Yeah, right. B-roll, right?
Yeah. Did it have pricing yet, or?
No. So very few people got to do it. It's like in the very first start of its testing stage from the sounds of it. So basically you have to be the OpenAI insider to have access to it. I'm not too sure when it will open up to a person like me, but I'll be chomping at the bit. First time I hear that it opens up, I'll be getting it. So, and like they've done all these like massive landscape sort of shots. On the website itself too, they also show some of the mistakes on it. The one I kind of liked was with the dogs, where like these dogs sort of just like seem to multiply within each other. So it was a little bit weird there. And then to like some things with not understanding things. So they had a guy running on a treadmill, but he was running backwards. So stuff like that, right? So clearly, again, if you're good at your prompts and once you get into it, I think it's going to be a bit of a game changer for a lot of places, particularly a guy like me. One other text thing I kind of want to bring up, it's very small, very minor, but Apple Podcasts sent us a note saying that all their podcasts, they're working on them being accessible now. So part of that is actually transcribing the podcast. So this podcast, and I think maybe all of ours, I'm not too sure if it's going to work back retroactively, but if you're listening to it in Apple Podcasts and you need a transcription of it, that transcription should now be there.
That's cool.
And we don't do anything for it, which is great. So if the transcription's screwed up, don't blame us. Number one rule. Always get rid of your own blame for things. Yeah.
So I got a personal one here. So I had a good joke built up. So I had a very good joke built up. And then just coincidentally, Emery sent me a message just saying, hey, am I ready to get my camera bag back? So basically, 5-6 months ago, you lent me a camera bag?
I don't even know how long ago it was.
Yeah. So Emery lent me a camera bag, and then I'm going to actually put the video into the podcast right here. So I'll play the video, and I'm actually going to show Emery it right now. So I made him a video, and I'll put it in so that everybody can see it and hear it too at the same time. This unassuming lens bag has been sitting on my shelves of shame for months now. Imagine a hockey player all geared up and ready for the game, but never stepping onto the ice. It's been sitting here so long, I can't even remember where I bought it from. Benched at home, patiently waiting for the call to get off the shelf and into the game. Just like a hockey player studies the game from the bench.
Where'd you get your B-roll from?
Our list, Its features are ready to be unleashed. Double stitched edge, an adjustable Velcro pouch, 2 windows, or slower camera, magnetic clothing latch. The moment has come. It's time to dust off this lens bags and bring it into the game. Will it be the MVP of your photography adventures?
It really is a nice bag. You did a good job on this too, actually, which was funny.
Please mention it. $50 OBO. The ad is still up. Yes, it is available.
So you're not buying my camera?
So
unreal.
The whole joke setup was for me to pretend like I forgot where I bought it from, and then I listed for sale, and then try to sell it.
You should list it in Moose Shop. See if you can get rid of it.
But it was a tricky thing. So shooting that, half of it was meant to look guerrilla, but then I tried to flip to a product video, so then it was meant to look like really awesome. So part of it was meant to be like out in the garage, and it was sad and lonely. And then I tried to flip it. It was hard to portray that though on the thing, but yeah.
The hockey player metaphor was nice.
The metaphor, yeah.
So you threw that on the Just Two Camera Guys YouTube page?
Yeah. It'll get released in, I think it's set for 8 o'clock tonight, so that you would see it randomly.
Perfect. I am going to link to it in the sell ad. So if you want to buy a great little camera bag, I've got one for sale.
Yeah.
It really is a nice bag.
It's a great bag. And the reason why I'm not buying it, and this is probably shows how much of a loser I am, is I borrowed it. And I only used it once, and then I just never brought it out again. So it didn't see any use.
That's the way it goes. It's kind of a small bag too. Like if you got like a small mirrorless setup, or even like maybe if you do like a little YouTuber setup, like where you're using that Sony ZV-1 or whatever with the Sony microphone, it'll all fit in that kit.
It's a cool bag. Ruth did one of the shots.
Oh, really?
So I was trying to hold it and put the lenses in at the same time.
Yeah.
And then I said, just after I get the lenses in, just come down to the Velcro strap. She got it. It was a really nice shot.
Nice. Yeah. So we have a sponsor tonight too, yours?
Well, that was the sponsor. Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace was the sponsor. It was me just sponsoring it or trying to sell my own bag. So the whole joke was I was trying to sell my own bag, and then I pictured you on the Zoom far away going, wait a second, that's my bag.
You probably should have just did that and just let me see it.
Yeah, it would have played a bit better.
You know that button like where you're like, do you want your friends to see it? Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the bag is here tonight.
It's here. I put it back there for you. Where'd it go?
Somewhere. I don't know. Someone clean it up somewhere.
It's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Anything else you want to talk about tonight, or that's a short?
That's our quick roundup. I think we got a few other things we can talk about.
What's that?
Like, well, I don't know. I'm like tooting my own horn here, but just the last few weeks, there's been like a few different things. I don't know if we ever talked about that snow drag race I shot.
A little bit.
Which was kind of crazy, kind of long. Then the next weekend, I shot the, we all worked on the Canada-US rivalry series, the women's hockey.
That was fun.
Yeah, I wasn't with you guys. I was shooting for TSN as opposed to working with the crew in here. How was that game for you?
Oh, that was fun. Huge. So I think we sold out the stadium here. I think
it was close,
and it was a good crowd. Really loud. Really into it. Fast hockey. Everybody loved it here because we had basically free reign to do whatever we wanted. So we had lots of jokes, lots of funny stuff for the screen. It was very entertaining.
It was interesting too to see like the entire crowd shift. Like it was 95% women in there, which was interesting to see. A lot of small girls hockey teams and stuff like that, which, I mean, they come to the Pats games too, but it was kind of good to see them all out with that as well.
I think people travel too.
Yeah. The other interesting thing about that, so the Team Canada won that game. They went on to mini like the next night and won that game. So they ended up winning 4 in a row to win the series. But the fun part, when other stations come here, Access was here tonight, Dome with TSN for that game, you get some interesting issues. And I always kind of like when things go wrong, but that kind of wrong
was too much wrong. Yeah,
was a bit much.
Yeah, you need some stuff to go wrong, or else weird stuff starts getting paid attention to that doesn't need to get paid attention to. But yeah, there's too much.
So basically, what ended up happening was all of the power in the building went off. So this year we've had one game where like our goal horn got stuck on, and you know, it takes a few minutes before you sort of figure that out, or the tank's empty and it's not blowing any more air through the horn, so it just shuts off. It's hard on the ears, but it's kind of funny. It's something you remember. But yeah, at that Canada-US game, the entire building's power went out. There was sort of this blip. The screen went out and came back on real quick. All of my camera stuff went down, and I was just like, and I was the only one looking at my camera because I was the last shot on. And I'm looking over at the other guys going like, what just happened? And everybody was kind of clueless. And then like, because of all our communications is run through that, we're up there with nothing. We have no idea what's going on, but you know, someone is panicking somewhere.
You know what's weird? I didn't panic in here at all because everything, all the screens, you can't see the screens here. Screens everywhere. They all went black. And we were just like, well, what can we do? Right. No, Ryan panicked. Well, he didn't panic, but he got up and started turning on whatever.
But even like the DJ music shut off. It actually took like a minute before the crowd actually sort of realized what was going on too. And people were pointing at the score clock.
Because the lights stayed on. So that was nice.
Yeah. The main lights, Scott Burlock, big shout out for him, somehow kept the lights on.
Yeah.
It's like the only thing that worked. All the concessions were down. Like it was a ghost town. It was pretty wild, pretty crazy.
But still, I don't think we even delayed that much, did we? Maybe 5 minutes. Things were back up.
Well, it went down kind of mid intermission, I'm going to say, because we were still shooting some intermission stuff. So then it went through the intermission. The teams came out and they were sort of confused as to what was going on too. And then there was like a second blip. And that's when they're like, okay, go back in. And so the teams go in. And it only took a few minutes after that when they got it sorted. Everything fired back up and we were rolling again. My brother said he was watching the TV and had no idea. So
nice.
So to them, it was probably just a longer intermission, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Do you have one more thing?
No, go ahead.
Because I had one
I
more
do have
thing.
one more. But...
Oh, no, do yours first, because we'll save mine, because mine has to do with budgeting. We'll save it for the end so people can stop listening before when the camera talks done.
I should have actually talked to Lane, because my other thing was just tonight was kind of a weird episode. Keith Hirschmiller, our photographer for the Regina Pats, couldn't make it. So I threw on the old jersey to do my best Keith Hirschmiller impression.
Yeah, nice.
And shot the warm-ups, and then grabbed my still camera, ran down to the ice level to shoot the pregame stuff. There was a puck drop ceremony. And so got that and then ran back up and shot the game with you guys again. So it's kind of a funny little switch, but something it's been an uncommon couple weeks.
Yeah. Was that fun? It looked kind of fun because we threw a camera on you just to watch you for a little bit. So
what
be kind of neat being on the ice. Because you're on the ice and all the lights are going and then the players are coming out and all the ceremony stuff's happening. I've never been on the ice for that before.
Ice level is always great. Like I say it all the time, but there was one season where I worked an entire season between the benches. So shot up there. Kenny was up on camera 1. We only had the 2 cameras. So this was before all this stuff came here. And I spent a season between the benches. By far the best season ever. You feel like you're a part of the action, a part of the play. You hear the guys chirping each other back and forth. You giggle at some of the things, right? Like, and whatever. And then I've done a few other things like ice level, ice time. The World Juniors, I was ice level for in 2014, I think, when it was here. That was a lot of fun as well. And then, tonight, like I'm right on the ice too with guys like blowing by me. So it's always I was kind of focused on what I had to do and just trusting that they see me and they'll go around me, which all things worked out. So I didn't get hit. And then they're more concerned about like hitting your spots and like just making sure I'm not hitting guys or doing anything. So like now when they're coming out of the tunnel and I'm firing straight down, basically I stood there for a bit just waiting for them to stop skating around me so that I could walk back to the red line and set up for the next shot.
We went out there because we've got somebody upstairs here. So Scott goes on the mic and he goes, "Who's that loser at the blue line?"
I should have left my headset on. I wish I could have. Just to hear it, I would have started laughing. But it's like I said, when you get that close to the action, it's always fun. And honestly, I don't think it matters whether it's hockey, rodeo, curling. Getting close to the curling action, Nick, that's where it's at.
We'll see. Hopefully I can do some curling. That'd be good.
Yeah. Do you have anything like really extra lined up?
No, other than it's going to go into a little bit more details with the budget, but we can skip that for another night.
No, I meant like for your own work. I feel like I've been so busy. I haven't talked to anybody. I don't know like what's happened outside of my own bubble.
You know what? That'll be good. I'll put some stuff together for next episode to kind of give a little rundown of what's happening.
There we go.
Yeah. I'd like to get a little bit more organized, I think, with that first.
Yeah. For the next episode too, I've got a pile of stuff in my emails too that I'll try to send you.
Perfect. The next one I wanted to run through because I would like to say lots of people, but somebody's asked us basically how to get started with a budget.
I feel like my answer with how to get started with everything is really simple. Just start. Do something.
It doesn't have to be perfect, is what you're saying when you start.
No.
Just do it.
Yeah. I think like that when often when you start things, like say you're starting a business or whatever, I know I did this with mine. I got stuck in the weeds and I'm like, well, what's my business name? What's my business logo going to be like? And I hummed and hawed about stuff for months. I actually did like a poll for a business name for people to pick. Like it was crazy. And I was just like, why did I waste that much time on those things? I should have just like started going. The other thing too, with like the do something, do anything mentality,
Mm-hmm.
once you do something, then you're going to do something else after it.
I like that because it doesn't have to be perfect when you start. You'll end up changing it anyway. And you may as well start learning. It'll force you to even start learning because it's like, wow, okay, well, do we do it on an app or on a piece of paper?
Yeah.
Well, we'll just Google, see what some of the best apps are.
Yeah.
Get started from there.
Do you know what's funny, actually? I relate a lot of budgeting stuff to dieting. And I listened to this like one YouTube video a long time ago, and it was basically like, you know, in a scenario like where you're dieting to lose weight, he's like, every single diet in the world, it doesn't matter what it is, cuts calories. That's all it's doing, is you're cutting your intake. So like if you all of a sudden aren't eating bread and all the carbs and all the stuff, all you've done is cut your calories. Like you have a burger without the bun, you've just cut calories. And yeah, his sort of point was it doesn't matter what diet you do the one that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so weirdly, budgeting, dieting, sort of in my mind, sort of they're equals all the time. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. And actually, yeah, that does have a lot of playouts because there's a lot of differences where sometimes you really need to do a total overhaul and sometimes you just need to fine tune some stuff.
Yeah.
And it kind of depends on the person. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
The only area where I feel like it's not dieting is just the fact that like budgeting for me basically empowered me, made me feel like I was in control of what I was doing finally, rather than just living week to week, month to month, or whatever it was. And it also didn't like restrict me. I feel like that's where like people fail with diets, is it always feels like restrictive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I can't have Slurpees and tequila anymore, right? Like, but in my scenario, I get to actually work that into my budget and use it. Slurpees and tequila, they've got a big shout out from our last.
Did it?
Well, Jono loved it.
Oh, Jono loved it.
Nice. That was the first thing. He's like, do you legit have Slurpees and tequila in your budget? I'm like, yeah, I brought it up and showed him. He had a good laugh at it.
Yeah, it's not restricting. So basically, as silly as it sounds, just starting as basic as deciding how much money you've got coming in, write that down, put it in the app. And then the nice thing about the app is it auto-calculates. So then it says, okay, you've got, I'm just going to use a round number. What's a good number that I'll say? So then we'll say you've got $4,000 coming in. And then you know, okay, I've got $4,000 coming in. I'll type in my rent. All right, 1,000. So then it literally says you spent 1,000 already. So I got 3,000 left.
Yeah, actually, I think you bring up a good point too about like writing it out. So I've seen many theories on how budgeting things should work. You know, do you do a budget? Some people say yes. Some people are like, no, only find out these core things. And then some people are like, you know, put them into pockets and all this stuff. The point is that all of them can work, I think. Again, it's whatever works best for you.
Mm-hmm.
But all of them also start with writing your stuff out.
Writing it out, yeah. And I was thinking the other day too, if you were going to do nothing, at least set up some kind of auto investing. So it's taking a certain percentage off and putting it into an account every month. But the downfall to that is if you're going into debt, if you're creating more debt and just putting that off in the account, it's not really doing much for you without the budget of having a plan to actually get ahead.
Which all starts with knowing what you have and knowing what you're doing with it. and writing it out is how you do that.
And it's so weird though, because you would think, and I thought this too, what is the difference? How is that going to possibly make a difference? But it does.
Yeah. And again, too, right? Like just start something. It doesn't matter. Like I said, if whichever one you choose to do, however you choose to do it, spreadsheets, apps, like the one I always think is funny, like where people literally took boxes and put cash in them, and that was like all they could use. Whatever it is, just start with whatever you think is going to work for you or might work.
Yeah. And the nice thing is it doesn't matter where you are. If you're at the point where you're wanting to start tackling some debt, getting that down. But if you don't have any debt, having the budget can actually give you a plan to do something with the money as well. That's not just nothing.
Yeah.
So it's not just for somebody that's in a bunch of debt. It's for both.
Yeah. The other thing I would say is do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Like again, I was talking about John here. So John's a young fellow with the Pat's crew here. Is he like 20?
22 is my guess. I don't know.
Nah, I don't remember. Anyways, young guy, and it's like, yeah, and he's been talking to us about stuff. He's done some stuff, and for better or worse of what our advice is, he's done it. And but I think like in the long run, because he's actually started sort of investing some money, he's got some free money now, and he's doing it. Like he's going to be so much further ahead by the time he's our age.
Oh, if somebody like that, so say somebody 22 sticks with it for 20 years,
yeah,
I'd like to find the scenario where they're not a millionaire, because I just don't know how that's even possible.
Well, you know what? Even maybe not a millionaire.
Yeah,
we got there.
Figure out the compound.
But like that's the thing, right? Like, and that's the famous story with what's his name, Buffett, and I think he started investing when he was like 11 or something. And yeah, so like all his wealth basically came when he was 60 years old and not when he was 11. But
Yeah.
It started at 11. And that's sort of the point. And now he's like, is he the richest investor in the world?
One of them.
So, yeah. Anyways, so yeah, start something, start it early. Just do whatever it is you can do.
Nice. I say we wrap it up today.
Yeah, nice short one. Nice, quick, and easy one.
Yeah. We'll hopefully have a little bit more depth next episode when we can get
Yeah, that's okay. It's always fun to do here. It's fun to do it in person. And check out everything I'm selling on Facebook.
Yeah, check out all Emery's listings.
All right.
Maybe buy his bag from me instead of him.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and have a great day.